Hi everybody! Thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome back to my channel where I review, critique, and summarize scary children's books. Today I am finally going to be doing the Future Classics tag. Vendi over at her channel, Caught Between the Pages, did a video and tagged me in it about a month ago. I'm so sorry this has taken me so long, but you guys should definitely go check out her channel. I love her videos. I will put the link in the description below. Thanks, Vendi! So yeah, in keeping with the theme of my channel, I am going to try and restrict my answers to scary kids books or spooky kids books. I do have one book in here that is not technically a scary kids book, but it is a picture book that deals with dark themes, so I'm kind of cheating maybe, but I think it still kind of fits. The first thing on the list is to pick an already established classic that you think will also be relevant in the future. For this one I picked There's a Nightmare in My Closet by Mercer Mayer. This book is like one of the quintessential fear-alleviating nighttime books for kids. It was originally published in 1968 and is still just kind of as good as ever, which I think makes it a pretty established classic. It's about a little boy who thinks he has a nightmare in his closet, and when a monster emerges out of the closet, the little boy attacks the monster, and the monster just starts to cry, and it's really sad. So they sort of end up making friends at the end, and it's really cute. So many kids of picture book reading or listening age deal with nighttime fear absolutely every night, and sometimes parents can kind of be at a loss of what to do. So books are a really great way to address things like this, and there are a ton of books out there written specifically to help kids kind of get through this stage where they have to learn to be in the dark without being too afraid, that kind of thing. So I think this book will really hold up, and the type of book that it is will certainly hold up, because I think there is always use for books like this. There are a ton of fear-alleviating nighttime books published even today, so this is a classic that I think really holds up. Okay, so the second one is to pick a book that you think has kind of flown under the radar, but will be a classic in the future. So I'm stretching the recent part of this one because this book actually came out in 2008, so that was like 10 years ago. Might not be too recent, but it's more recent than the Mercer Mayer one at least. My pick for this one is Wolves in the City, written by Margaret Wilde and illustrated by Anne Spudvillas, and I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. Wolves in the City is a picture book that is actually targeted towards older readers. It's kind of a post-apocalyptic metaphor for social anxiety. It's really, really interesting. The book is about a boy named Ben who is confined to his basement room because outside these things called wolves have taken over the city. And you never actually see the wolves, so it's really up for interpretation as to what they actually are, or even if they do actually exist. And Ben tells the whole story in his own writing and spelling, so everything is actually spelled differently, and it's a really fun kind of way to read the picture book. It's a really, really unique book, and the reason I chose it for this one is because I think picture books like this for older readers are going to become more popular in the future. I also picked this one because I think that dark picture books like this and picture books that are kind of vague and a little bit literary are really going to be more popular in the future as well. Horror is kind of having a renaissance right now, and we're starting to see a little bit of those trends showing up in children's literature, which I personally am super excited about. So yeah, if you guys can get your hands on Wolves in the City, it's a really, really cool and interesting read. Okay, the third one is to pick a book that recently won one of your favorite book prizes and talk about why you think that it will still be celebrated in the future, specifically in 50 years' time. For this one, I actually chose a YA book. I chose The White Darkness by Geraldine McCaughrean. This book won the Prince Award in 2008. So for those of you who don't know, the Prince Award is an award given every year to a YA book that has extraordinary literary merit. I don't actually read a ton of YA in my personal life. The YA that I usually read is either YA horror or very literary YA. And this book is a little bit of both. I don't want to say too much about it because I feel like the more that I say about it, the more I'm going to spoil it, and this is a book that you really should just go into having no idea what happens. But I will say that the plot follows a teenaged girl that is taken to Antarctica by her uncle. And that's all I'm willing to say. All I can say is just read this book. I'm really hoping to do like a full video about it on my channel at some point, spoilery, so I can actually talk about what goes on in the book. But this book just totally blew me away. It is scary. It is captivating, it is poignant and moving, and it's really, really wonderful. This is exemplary YA, and this is something that I think will absolutely be celebrated. I think I am willing to make this statement. It actually has the best villain that I've ever read about in a YA novel. And I can't tell you who it is, of course, because it would be a spoiler. The villain is so complex and so terrifying, and the whole situation is terrifying, but he is just an incredible character study. The main character is also wonderful. She narrates the book, and to an extent, she is a little bit of an unreliable narrator, so you're not entirely sure what it is going on most of the time. I can't recommend this book enough. It's like a full 5 out of 5 stars from me, and I think it will absolutely be a classic in the future. Okay, the next one is the one that I actually kind of cheated on. So this one is pick a recent book that you haven't read yet. It might become a classic just based on reputation alone. So this isn't a really like spooky or scary picture book per se, and it actually might also already kind of be thought of as a classic for some people, but I haven't read it yet, so that was my big thing. And that book is Cry Heart But Never Break, written by Glenn Rinktve. Oh, it's the worst pronunciation of his name ever, I apologize. And illustrated by Charlotte Party. This is a book that does deal with some dark themes. So this is a picture book written specifically to help parents talk to kids about the realities of death and the realities of loss and dying. And it is supposed to be unbearably beautiful and poignant and sad. It's about a family who has a dying grandmother in their house, and death comes to finally take her soul. And Death is a very sympathetic character here. You can tell that Death himself is very sad about the fact that he has to take this woman's soul. It's so sad and wonderful. But it's supposed to facilitate conversation between parents and children about these hard topics, about things that are difficult to speak of, like death. And I've never read it, but it does have a really good reputation in terms of helping parents to talk to kids about these things. So that's one that I definitely believe will be a classic just based on its reputation alone. And then the final question is to pick a favorite book that you want to save for your grandchildren or your friends' grandchildren to read in 50 years' time. And for this one, it's so easy. It is The Wolves in the Walls by Neil Gaiman and illustrated by Dave McCain. I've said this before, but I still stand by it. I think that Neil Gaiman is kind of a genius when it comes to writing kids' books, especially scary kids' books. He does it like no other. And this is a book that I think will definitely be a future classic because it is so unique. And the book itself is actually pretty literary. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in it that is kind of inexplicable, but it still sort of rides the line between being really literary but also being really enjoyable as just a story. So the book is about Lucy, who hears all of these crazy noises coming from the walls in her house, and she tells her family that she thinks there is wolves in the walls. None of them believe her, and they tell her that, you know what everybody says, when the wolves come out of the walls, it's all over. And of course, eventually the wolves do come out of the walls. If you haven't taken a look at this book, even if you're someone who doesn't read a lot of children's picture books or books that are for kids this age, definitely pick it up. It is so wonderful. Dave McCain's illustrations, they're mixed media, they're so interesting and visually unique, and it's very Dave McCain. If you've taken a look at Sandman, you'll definitely recognize the images as being Dave McCain. And they have this great uncanniness to them, which is something that I really like about Neil Gaiman's work. Everything seems to be just a little uncanny, just a little familiar but unfamiliar, and it gives you that hair raising on the back of your neck kind of thing. Totally fun. So that's a book that I will definitely be reading to my kids one day and totally enjoying with my grandkids as well. Okay guys, so that is everything. Thank you again, Bendy, for tagging me. And I'm just gonna send out like a blanket tag. If any of you are watching this video that want to do the tag, go on ahead. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like and leave me a comment down below and let me know if you have read any of the books that I've talked about here, especially The White Darkness. I know a lot of people here are really interested in YA, so I want to know if anybody has actually read that book. I know it came out a little while ago, so effectively I might have just missed the boat when it came to making videos on it, but it's something that is totally worth reading, especially if you like YA and coming of age stories. And guys, if you want to see more of me on here, go ahead and click subscribe. I'll be here doing scary kids book reviews for the foreseeable future. And you can follow me on various social media. The links are in the description below. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you next time. Bye!